Cheering at pro wrestling shows in Japan is back, and 2023 is already shaping up to be a big year in the history of pro res. That's why you should listen to the Emerald Flow Show. From the Royal Road to the Green Mat, Paul and Gerard take you into the world of All Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. Not only do we analyze events, but we examine business, who is getting over, what angles are working or not. Occasionally, we take a look at other Japanese promotions like DDT and Zero One. So if you're looking for more coverage of the world of Japanese wrestling, check out the Emerald Flow Show on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network, available on all of your favorite podcast apps.
Hey everybody, my name is Jesse Collins, and I want to tell you all about my show, the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. On the Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast, we do a thorough analysis on the biggest issues and trends within the pro wrestling industry. We talk a lot about pro wrestling media, we talk a lot about fan culture and wrestling's place within general pop culture, and we talk about the broader influences that are shaping the way we discuss and analyze the pro wrestling industry. We've had some of the brightest minds in the pro wrestling intelligentsia on the show, including WrestleNomics host Brandon Thurston, both Rich Craich and Joe Lanza from the Flagship Wrestling Podcast, Trevor Dame from the Through the Years podcast, and a whole lot more. This isn't a show for hot takes. It's not a show recapping the latest episode of television. This is a show focusing on the biggest topics in pro wrestling and doing a deep dive on the real stories behind the surface level analysis you might find elsewhere. The Gentleman's Wrestling Podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts, and we'd really appreciate it if you gave us a try. Thanks.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Super J Cast. I'm Joel, joined by Damon McDonald. It is Wednesday, 16th August 2023. This is episode 270. What is going on, Damon? How are you going to do a little music Damon corner talking about K-pop for us?
We're discussing Blackpink, and I saw them over the weekend, and it was fun, it was enjoyable. They are very talented young ladies who dance and sing and do all that. And it was a packed house at MetLife Stadium. It was quite a show. I definitely enjoyed myself. I had a good time. But yes, I don't know if I've necessarily acquired a taste for it, but there were a couple songs that I was like, that's a good song. That's a good song. Yeah, I could check that off the list, right? I saw my first K-pop show.
Yeah, I mean, you can appreciate the craft, even if you're not personally a fan of it. But yeah, it's good stuff. I've not listened to any of their music, but I'll have to give it a try if it's getting a thumbs up from Mr. and Mrs. Damon.
Yes, I would give it a thumbs up. Let me recommend two songs. And first of all, I got to tell you this. In a lot of their songs, they say this line, and I find it hilarious every time they fucking say it. They will say the following: Blackpink in your area. What? I swear to God.
Sounds like a doctor's diagnosis.
I know.
What are your symptoms? I've got Blackpink in my area. Oh, give you some ointment for that.
Yes, I need salve. I need a yes. Blackpink in your area. I always say Blackpink in your areola. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's it. That's the Super J-Cast content we're all tuning in
That's
for.
it. And then the other one there are two other ones. There's one of the girls' name is Rose, I believe. Rose. And she does a song called On the Ground. I was like, I like this song a lot. That's one I can recommend. And then the other one is, this is the name of the song, dude. It's Do. That is the name of the song. But it's them kind of
How is Dudut spelled?
DU-. Like if you look it up, it's exactly what it is. It's apparently it's like they're making the sound that of a gun, right? Like a machine gun. So I'll hit you with that do. That's it. Thank you.
I've looked it up. It's DDU. I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
But the way you did it, you made it sound like the little ditty off of the UK quiz show Countdown. That goes boom.
Well, I mean,
which I'm sure very few of our listeners are going to be familiar with. But
those that are, they're
enjoy.
Oh.
There you go. You can have that one for free.
Ear to ear grin. Ear to ear grin for those people. Yes. Well, I don't know. Look. But yes, they. It was quite the production, and here's the cool thing too. Again, 70,000 people, MetLife Stadium, that whole thing, and then like the sky fucking opened up, and it was pouring rain. But those young ladies, they didn't miss a beat. They were right there in the rain, everyone getting soaked, and then the rain stopped. It's nice. Like it was like cooling. Like it was like a little dip in a pool. It was nice. Felt good.
Great. That's a great story.
Speaking of 72,000, look at Big Joel going to Wembley Stadium soon. He's really looking forward to it from what he was talking about.
It's a card that's been booked deliberately by Tony Khan to irritate me personally because I wasn't keen on Adam Cole or MGF as it is, and now we've got 2 matches with the fuckers on the show. Like, what's going on? This has got to be a calculated attempt to upset me, and I did try to bail out, but Dan and Sipsy and Alan are not having it. So, I'm going to be sitting there having a thoroughly miserable time. The worst time I've had at Wembley since, God Christ, the FA Cup semi-final in 2009. So I hate Wembley Stadium.
I thought you were going to say Live Aid. Sorry. When I saw fucking Aztec camera. No, the Aztec camera wasn't on the show, so shut up. All right. Hey, you're going to have a good time. You're going to have a good time. You're going to meet a lot of our listeners, right?
Yeah. If you are listening to this and you are going to either RevPro or All In, is it All In? Get in touch, shoot me a message or Twitter, whatever, and make sure you join us for a pre-show drink. We haven't decided where or when it will be, but there will be one.
And you will be buying.
Make sure yes, you will be buying me and Editor Dan a pint for all the wonderful content we give you. So have your wallets ready. Don't bother telling us your names. Don't want to do any small talk. Just put the drink in my hands and fuck off.
That might be the line of the day. I think it's great. One of the greatest moments ever. I'm sitting in the Tokyo Dome, and all of a sudden, like I'm just watching the matches. It was like from behind, over my shoulder. Somebody hands me a beer. It was like one of our listeners. I think his name was last name was Kwan. I want to say. I was just like, holy shit! Hey. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, that is what I want. I want a stream of people coming up to me in my seat at Wembley, just handing me drinks. And just saying, sorry about the show, Joel.
That would be wonderful.
Like my ideal scenario here is me reaching the state that you were in Wrestle Kingdom 14 Night 1.
Watch 2 matches and then sleep away.
That would be a result for me. I'll take that.
I would love that. That would make my fucking day for sure. Look, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna see the boys. You'll hopefully get a couple in you, and you know what? It's the event. You're going for the event, not necessarily to watch sexy lineup. And again, this goes right back to what I was saying before. This trend in pro wrestling right now, that man, sell the tickets first and then put whatever the fuck they're gonna do later. And another thing, I absolutely loathe these numbnuts, these fucking dopes that defend this. well, wouldn't it be great if they didn't announce anything and you just hear the music and the reaction? That is absolute, just brainwashed. Here's when I read stuff like that, all I think is, well, Vince McMahon won. Vince McMahon won.
Yes, yeah, poison the well.
You know what? He just waited. It was a waiting game. And he just waited and waited and waited and waited until people don't know any better. Like, people just don't know any better. And they accept it. They accept the fist fuck. They just, unlubed, they just take the whole fist right up to the elbow. And then they play jacks inside their own asshole. They take a course in sign language in their own asshole, because that's exactly what this is.
You know, we could do this thing where we sort of isolate clips of audio from our podcast and make them into sort of little YouTube highlight things, little teasers to get people to listen. Yeah. That is what ours is going to be. Yeah, what's that called? Like a pop reel or something like that, or like whatever. Like bands do that to kind of like get booked. Yes, we should do that. That should be top and front and center. You know what I was thinking about the other day? Speaking of bits, remember that one time we had, I think the week prior, we had both going on a little bit of a Naito rant that he was a boob and that he was a, and I played like 9 Inch Nails Hurt or something. I was like underneath. And that's how we just cold opened on that. Yes. That was a good bit. Yeah, because we were just gassing him up because we were certain he was going to win the G1 and he didn't. Right. But we just do that every year now, and like a broken clock. This year, I was correct. Did you predict Naito to win? I can't remember. I think you might have predicted. I think Will at first. Ospreay Okada. Yeah. Fuck you. I was right this time. I nailed it. You nail it all the time, dude. You're like the smartest guy in the fucking room. Let me tell you something. Like, it's amazing. I nearly got banned from the Discord Pick'ems contest because I changed my picks because I sort of talked myself into Hikuleo having a good tournament, and I got accused of insider trading. Oh, like what did they think with the circumstances were there? Like Hikuleo sending me a DM on Twitter being like, "Hey, no, man, keep this under your hat. I'm going to the quarterfinals." Right, that's not happening. But yeah, you do find a way to kind of have a little bit of a crystal ball. I stink at it. I mean, I was kind of close, but whatever. What are you going to do? I think this is the first time I've managed to correctly predict the finals ever in the history of this podcast. I don't think I've got anything since we've been doing our unofficial G1 Pick'ems, but I mean, it had to happen sooner or later. Did you win? No, I mean, the Pick'ems contest, it was a bit different. So the wrestlers were arranged into 4 tiers based on their sort of kayfabe power, and we had to pick one wrestler from each tier, and all the picks had to be unique, so you couldn't pick the same as anyone else. So I picked Naito, Shota, Hikuleo, and ELP. And I finished like, I don't know, it's like 15th or 10th or something. I wasn't in danger of losing, although with the starts that Hikuleo and ELP had, and Naito had a slow start as well. I was sort of hovering near the bottom, so it was looking a bit hairy for a moment. Yeah. But I finished in a respectable place. Okay. All right, that's good. You don't have to do the punishment. What was the punishment? Can we say it on the air? I don't think it's been decided yet. I think the person who won the Pick'ems gets to decide the punishment for the person who finished last. And I think the last place was Mint from our Discord. Oh, yeah, so that name sounds familiar. Bad luck, mate. Mm-hmm. First, the Nottingham Forest defeat at the hands of Arsenal, and now you're going to have to eat shit with some sort of terrible... can I make a suggestion? Can I make a suggestion? Oh, go on, yeah. Fuck the movie. I say, elbow deep in the ass. Right? So the winner is inserting their whole hand. Forearm into... Okay. Yep. I like it. Right? Okay. I mean, listen, we got to make it worth, you don't want to lose these. So I say, do the old fist fuck, right in the old... Just stretch out his asshole. Or her. Asshole. Just stretch it right out. That's the punishment. Absolutely fair and appropriate. Appropriate. All right. Well, that's the show for this week. Right? Yeah, we managed to get 2 anal fisting references in the space of, 10 minutes? That's got to be a new record.
That is really good for us. That is really good for us. All right, look, I know we got a lot to talk about. I know we got some wrap up of this G1 thing, and probably other stuff. So why don't you, as you always do, professionally, soundly, and with great enthusiasm, drive that boat.
Big balls.
And with big balls, Stugats.
All right, let's start with the semi-finals. William says, Joel, as a man now back in England, do you also feel a sense of confusion that American sports commentators refer to the quarter/semi-finals, of which there are multiple, as the semi-final, but the final, the only one, as the finals? Now, I've not noticed this. Is that correct, Damon? You as an American man from America, would you refer to it as singular, the semi-final, and then the finals in plural?
Yeah. Yes. Semifinal.
Why?
Yeah. Actually, you could throw an S on the semifinals, because usually it's honestly in a lot of sports, US-based sports, it's like conference championship or conference finals, because usually teams are paired off into 2, dare I say, conferences. So I think that's a little bit more U.S. based. You don't really hear semifinals that much. I think you hear conference finals a lot, or division finals. Thank you.
Hey, speaking of finals, do you know who's in? Final singular. Who's in the Women's World Cup final?
I do, because fun fact, I watched the Australian, the Matildas, what were they called? Is it Matildas?
Yeah, Matildas.
Yes, against
the Lionesses.
England. And hey, look, Joel, it might be coming home.
Big fuck you to all our Australian listeners.
Yes. I feel bad. They were excited, but then
I don't.
You don't. I know you don't. But I do. And I saw it was tied up at 1, I think, when I popped it on, and then England scored that killer fucking goal, and it killed the crowd. And then Australia was pushing, like they had lots of opportunities. It felt like, and then that third goal was just a fucking backbreaker. And they, what are you going to do? It was like, what is it?
Shout out to Arsenal's Alessia Russo.
Yes,
one of our top players.
Yes, it was. I'm going to give you a hot take here. I think I like the Women's World Cup more than I like the Men's Cup.
Well, that's it. If you want a job done properly, you send the woman to do a man's work. So hopefully the Lionesses can get the job done where the men miserably failed to do so. No, the men came close, to be fair. No, actually they didn't. They came close in the Euros. The World Cup, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So no, they didn't get anywhere near it. So... Yeah. Go on the ladies, bring it home.
I think so. I think they will. They'll defeat Spain, and it's going to be party time at Joel's house.
All right. There was also a party at the Ryogoku. That's a terrible segue. Not only was it a bad segue, but also fucked up the name of the venue. So I'm just going to hang my head in shame here for a bit. I think we should go through the back end of the Sumo Hall-based finals chronologically, because that, I think, is going to make more narrative sense as we analyze these. So let's do Kazuchika Okada. He defeated Evil in 18 minutes and 8 seconds with the Rainmaker, so Okada advanced to the final. And I thought this is quite smartly built upon Evil's previous 2 wins. So the manner of his victory against Shingo and the manner of his victory against Sanada were built into this Okada match with very dramatic near falls. I think it was done as effectively as you could hope for an Evil match. I suppose there was some reasonable doubt that Evil might go through to the final, because you could have done Evil Naito. That would have made sense. So I think that created a good sense of drama and doubt in people's minds. There was a moment when, towards the end, Evil hit the Evil, but it was on the other side. It was like the left side of Evil, not the right side of Evil. Not that anyone would have noticed. That I certainly didn't notice it. And when he hit it, everyone was like, "Fuck, he's gonna go! He's going through to the final." So I was pooing myself then because whilst I am the Resident Evil apologist, I don't want him in a G1 final.
Right.
That's insane. And I think this for me, this is the sweet spot for Evil. This is as deep as I want him to go in a tournament. Semi-final, absolutely fine. Hot crowd, everyone was behind Okada, and there wasn't too much shenanigans in there. And you want a spicy take here? I think the shenanigans for House of Torture Evil are hiding a good but not great wrestler. I mean, if Evil suddenly went back to not cheating, would it be that much of an improvement upon this iteration of Evil? I'm not sure it would be. We look back at the back catalogue of Okada Evil matches. What was the best one? Maybe the G1 match in 2017 or 2019. That was a good match. It wasn't a great match.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Am I way off base here saying that perhaps this gimmick is good for Evil?
Here's what it does. It allows, it doesn't expose him to a 30-minute match that, historically he doesn't have the best track record in. So, yeah, I mean, it provides some smoke and mirrors for him. Absolutely. Look, as much as we bitch and moan about it, it did exactly what it wanted to do, right? I mean, the idea that people were panicking that Evil could win and, ultimately did not. I mean, that's what all that was for, right? To have that energy with people watching, not wanting Evil to get the win and Okada being the hero.
Right, and funnily enough, the only thing that killed the energy of the crowd stone dead was Okada locking on the money clip.
Right, which it always does. Which is, that's a perfect example of New Japan just, they're going to shoehorn things in. They're just going to keep going to the fucking well. And again, whether that's Okada just being stubborn or if that's whatever, the idea of that, of them still trying to get that over as a secondary finisher is it's almost funny at this point. It's almost comical. But Evil, I think both guys did well in this match. Was this a classic match? Was this a match that you're going to go back and watch? Probably not. But again, that being said, for what it was in the moment, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It Evil's participation accomplished what we all knew was the goal. I guess people were just concerned how deep it was going to go. And
right up to the elbow.
Right. Exactly. Unlubed. So, I mean, I guess that was everyone's concern, but it felt good to be somewhat on edge. It somewhat, it felt good a little bit, right? Like maybe it was just a finger or two in the ass, right? Just we're not going for brutality.
A little bit of a prostate massage.
Yeah, I mean,
we're happy.
Who doesn't like that? And that's what New Japan gave us: 2 fingers. 2 fingers.
Fantastic. Looking forward for Evil then, and Sanada as well. So apparently Sanada's been working through a bicep tear, which sounds quite nasty. I don't know how accurate that is, but I hope he gets better soon. But Dad Bod God says, with a loss to Evil in the G1, will Sanada make it to Wrestle Kingdom to face Naito? And Stu1 says, excited for the Evil versus Cobb main event of Wrestle Kingdom 18. So we did set up at the finals Evil attacking Sanada. So probably that's good. Is you think that's likely to be the main event at Destruction in Sumo Hall? I mean, I'm not excited for that. I don't think they've got particularly good chemistry. I don't love the matches they've had historically. The best bit of their long feud has been Dick Togo jumping through that table at Wrestle Kingdom. So if they do something like that at Destruction, I'm all on board. But not particularly excited for if that is the Destruction main event, the Evil versus Sanada match. But I do not see Evil winning that and going into the Tokyo Dome as the champion. Although it would be very funny if he did.
Look, at this point, I put nothing past them, and especially if Sonata is, if that bicep tear is something that's going to put him on the shelf for a little bit. I don't know if that's something you can tape up, and just fight through. So I guess that'll be a real indicator. And again, they'll probably just fucking turn a blind eye to it and be like, well, even if he can't defend it, are they gonna strip him of the title? I don't think so. So I think they'll do something. Whether it's an angle where House of Torture doing their House of Torture things and wind up winning the title, which would make people's heads explode, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on if Sonata can work through that injury.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a huge issue. I mean, he's being announced for shows going forward. He's announced for Royal Quest, so I don't think that's a huge concern.
Card subject to change.
Well, look, I would like to go to this Royal Quest show, and if Sonata pulls out, then I pull out.
Oh.
No Sonata, no Joel.
Wow. Listen to this. Listen to this big boast. I don't think that's true. I think, where is the Rev Pro show? Is it at the what was that called? That fucking tiny ass arena?
That's Copperbox.
Oh, okay.
Where they did the first Royal Quest.
Okay. Well, it's a bigger building. Good. Okay. I thought it was in that tiny little place where they would do.
No. So apparently it's a nice venue. I've never been there. Looking forward to going there for the Rev Pro show on the 26th. And yeah, hopefully if I can get myself tickets for a Royal Quest, I will be there too. Same rules apply. Just hand me the pint, piss off, and I'll be happy. Right, let's move on to the other semi-final. So this was Tetsuya Naito defeating Will Ospreay in 29 minutes 58 seconds with Destino. So Tetsuya Naito advanced to the final. Now, I think we've got to separate this into two parts here. So the first 80% of the match, just spectacular. These guys have got brilliant chemistry. I love their series last year. And this year they just picked up where they left off. And, for all the humming and hawing people do about Naito and, he's washed and he's broken down, blah, blah, blah. There were some amazing spots in this, like incredible reversals. There was like a power bomb reversed into was it a poison runner or something? Just executed absolutely flawlessly by both guys. I mean, it's a participatory thing, but you could tell that Naito had sort of saved himself for the back. It was a backloaded tournament in terms of his work rate, and I thought they were just knocking it out of the park. The crowd, the crowd weirdly was kind of almost leaning towards Ospreay. He was getting quite a lot of chance there, and that's kind of nice to see the crowd show some appreciation for Ospreay. Maybe that will help sway his decision one way or the other when it comes to what he's going to do next year. But yeah, this match was going great, and then Ospreay, unfortunately, one of those low hook kicks and just booted Naito in the face. Obviously was not intentional. Naito not loopy, so leaving the safety police stuff to the side, like, should they have called the match off? Blah blah. You can't do that. Like, what's Ospreay going to do? He's going to go to Naito. Oh, sorry, mate, I've knocked you loopy. Right. I know you're supposed to win this, but just lay down. Let me win. Just trust me, bro. Like, obviously, that's not going to happen. And what followed was one of the most dramatic and memorable and unusual things I've ever seen in a wrestling match. As Ospreay, you could hear him, like, he was picking up Naito and talking to him and saying, like, hidden blade, duck it. Naito-san, come on, let's go. You can do it. We do it together. One more move. And Chris Chant was doing his best to sort of talk over that and say, he's taunting him. But there was a real sense of drama, like, whether or not Naito could actually complete this match. There was that moment where they did the hidden blade straight after that, and Naito ducked it, and I was like, he's okay. And then Naito was running towards him to do some sort of counter move and just kind of swiped towards Ospreay's face and collapsed. And I was thinking, oh no, it really looked bad for a second there. So, like, you want to give credit to Ospreay for basically always literally carrying Naito through the rest of that match. Like, it was like he was wrestling Yoshihiko, the blow-up doll at the end. He's Destinoing himself. So, that was a spectacular bit of sort of ring generalship from Ospreay to be able to, get through the match, relatively cleanly. It looked good. But that did take me out of the match into, it broke my suspension of disbelief, because then instead of watching it like, oh, is Naito going to beat Will Ospreay to get to the finals, I'm thinking, can Naito, the person, actually get through this match? Is he seriously hurt? So it was very exciting and compelling from that perspective, but that sort of detracted from my enjoyment of it in a kayfabe sense. But either way, just a spectacular match, and one that I won't be forgetting in a hurry.
Yeah, to me, it was one of the moments of G1, which didn't have all that many, but yes, 1,000%. And, you're right in the sense that it did feel like more than most G1s that people were leaving stuff in the tank to get to their marquee matches. And I think in the case of Naito, that's exactly what we saw. And he left it all in the ring, like he did his damnedest, and you could tell that he was fucked up. And again, this is a guy who, aside from the knees, the eye issues that have been plaguing him in recent years, and have, there's been tons of speculation on him, having a relatively short career because of it. And I'm sure that kick did that injury no favors, and you could tell that he was knocked loopy. And yeah, Ospreay, while, look, it would have been wonderful if it was a little bit quieter, a little bit more low-key, but, I can appreciate Will just trying to, pardon the pun, will Naito over the finish line, and getting to the other side in relatively okay shape. It was scary to see. The fact that he was able to perform in the finals is pretty amazing to me, and it feels like, I don't know, man. Like the whole Will Ospreay thing and the conversation that we had last week really got me down. Like the idea of him possibly, moving on from New Japan is really a troubling thought. And again, we have people. Just to make sure it's clear in everyone's mind, we do have people that can go now, but I'm talking about 2-3 years from now is what I'm thinking of, and to ask these type of performances from guys who, they're in bad shape. Let's not say bad shape, but they got a lot of fucking miles, right? And we've said it a million times. So the idea of him moving on is really troubling to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the G1 that he's had, and the people, he's given most of his opponents their best matches in this G1, and whether that's coaxing a half passable match out of Kenta, brilliant match he had with Taichi. Okada match was okay, that could have been better, but that was hamstrung by the time limit. But the Finlay match, the ELP match, the Yoshihashi match was really good. This Naito match, it was just a really outstanding G1 from him, and he's having an amazing year. There's no one quite like him in terms of the sort of selflessness and his ability to make his opponents look good. So Figure Collector says, how great was Will Ospreay during the G1? David says, have New Japan missed the boat on an Ospreay G1 win and Wrestle Kingdom title win? I'm a big Naito fan, but Ospreay stock surely can't get any higher. I think they should have made this his time. So do you think they might have erred there, or do you think that's... I think that's something, if he signs on the dotted line and extends his deal with New Japan, then I think that's an easy direction for the G1 within the next 2 years.
No doubt. I mean, but that's the big question mark. And so, it makes sense from that perspective of, okay, if nothing is set in stone, then, we gotta have the guy that's going to stick around, get the win. And again, I'm not saying that he definitely is, but I feel like there is a strong possibility. Look, I'm going to do something here, Joel, that's probably a little bit terrible, in the sense of Why don't you just fucking tell us? And I know I can feel you sweating over there, but I'm going to give a pastrami sandwich. Pastrami sandwich alert. I think, and I don't want to get, I can't get into details, and Joel knows. I can't get into great details, but I think that this coming Wrestle Kingdom season is going to, post Wrestle Kingdom, is going to be a sad time for New Japan Pro Wrestling fans. And I think that, I know that, and Joel as well, that names that I think people are fans of are going to be disappointed. And I can leave it at that, but know that come Wrestle Kingdom season, I think we're all going to be planning for the future with some empty space. Let's put it that way.
And that's always been the nature of people working for New Japan, that it can be a cyclical thing. I mean, they come in for a few years, especially if they're not Japanese, that it is the flights, having those long haul flights over there and the hotels and the lifestyle and stuff of doing those tours for New Japan is a grind. And especially if you're leaving family back home for all the workers involved, that's not something that many people commit to full time. So it's all part and parcel of the businesses. And especially now that there is more competition and more places to work for in the US, it's a threat to New Japan and something they're going to have to deal with, whether that is by backing up a dump load truck full of money Will Ospreay's doorstep to try and get him to re-up. I think he deserves it more than anyone else. He's been probably the best wrestler on the planet for the last couple of years. And yeah, he'd be a huge loss if he goes. Now, I'm not necessarily saying I think he will go, because he's given the US title a bit of a makeover. Now, it looks to be the IWGP UK title. Mm-hmm. So that's had a lick of paint, and he's rebranded that. And Yota Tsuji got a pin on him in the final show. So that looks like a challenge that, that could be the main event for Royal Quest on October 14th. I think that would be a great choice for a main event, Ospreay versus Tsuji, because Tsuji's got history in the UK as well. I think that would be really great. I'll be happy with that if I do go for that being a main event. So, maybe that could be something to hang your hat on if you are hoping that Ospreay stays. That typically that wouldn't be the sort of direction for someone who had one foot out the door of the company.
Yeah. And again, it's if on top of Will Ospreay, there are other things which there will be. There will be. And again, I'm eating a sandwich on that. I don't know. I just feel like we're in this really weird area where we have, quite honestly, a frenemy. You know what I mean? Like, we have this partnership and this relationship, and that, again, I question how it's helping New Japan, because it feels like it's just an opportunity for Tony to just cherry pick, just buy,
Yeah, but what's the alternative, though? If they don't have this partnership, that doesn't stop AEW from existing and from trying to poach the talent. AEW are going to be trying to tap people up whether or not New Japan have a partnership with them.
True. Well, 1,000% true. I guess the point is this idea of, I don't know, when I hear partnership, I feel like it's, both parties benefit. I don't know if there's a benefit. I personally, I think the idea, Joel, of a international company for New Japan is, at this point, it's just a pipe dream. Like, it's just a pipe dream. I feel like that window has closed, and I would love for them to just focus on being New Japan Pro Wrestling again. Maybe one or two shows in the States, I don't think this is a touring company. I don't think this is I really just would love to see them back in home base and tightening up the ship a little bit. And I don't know. It just feels like that there's this constant disappointment in them trying to expand. And point after point after point after point in time, it's just one of those things where I just don't think they should at this point. Like, I just feel like they need to tighten up the things at home before they worry about expanding. And there are plenty of places where they can improve in Japan because, and again, we say it a lot that you can't really go by Twitter and you can't really go by, comments elsewhere. But, there are people that are very unhappy with where the company is. And from a Japanese fan perspective, there's a lot of discontent.
I'll just go into some of those.
Please.
Sorry,
yeah,
Danny,
no, go.
Because we've seen stuff with like the Bushiroad stock prices taking a massive hit. It was down like 20% or something in a single day. I think, from what I understand, that's more due to their mobile apps division. Some of the mobile apps bombed this year, not connected to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Insider trading, Joel. Insider trading.
Apparently, Obari, he's coming on to Taichi's YouTube stream to talk about some of these fan complaints from the Japanese fan base. So, like, there've been some dissatisfaction with the setup at Sumo Hall, with the tickets being overpriced and having 4 people to a box rather than 2 people to a box. People said that's too cramped, being put together with strangers. It's a COVID risk, saying ticket prices are too high. Cards are not so interesting, that the final's been full of multi-man matches. Even stuff like fan behavior, people taking videos or holding towels and cameras and smartphones above their heads and blocking other people's views. Complaints about the setup of the G1. They're saying like 32 people is too many. And even like apparently Shibata had been telling fans at an autograph session to tell Obari to book him in New Japan matches. So
wow.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that they could be doing to satisfy their home fan base before they really try and get in the weeds for the US expansion. But I don't think the two things are mutually exclusive. Like, all those things I just mentioned can be addressed without having to pull the plug on whatever they're trying to do in the States. But I mean, facing facts, as soon as AEW became a thing, that cannibalized the massive chunk of their US viewership. So it's never going to go back to the way it was pre-AEW. We will come on to discussing and previewing some of the shows they got in the States, but definitely work to be done to improve relations with the domestic fans.
Yeah, it's like if I don't necessarily watch a lot of AEW because I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's just not for me.
It's shit, and it's for idiots.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
why would you?
I hate to say it, but you would think that it would, but it just doesn't land for me a lot of times. There are things where people say you got to watch this match, and of course I'll find it and pop it on, and there are good things, but I just think overall it's just a product that just doesn't land for me. I don't, it just doesn't. So yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm not a fan of this relationship. I'm not a fan of. I don't know. I just don't have any real passion for this partnership that feels like it's just. New Japan is like one of those stepping stones for bigger and brighter pastures and easier travel and again more money and you're an instant star because you're on TV in the States.
Well, if CM Punk allows it.
I know people get all upset, but I do listen. You have to appreciate his passion at the very least, right? Like, he's very passionate about his beliefs and what he thinks the pro wrestling company should be. I just think sometimes it's, I don't know, like it's sometimes it's more harm than good. I kind of, I don't kind of like, I definitely see his point in a lot of what he complains about, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just find him to be, I just find it like, you know how like you get a rise out of New Japan doing things that just fucking annoy a million people, right? To me, that's CM Punk for me. Like I love the I love the fact that he just does shit that pisses people off. Like I kind of like that. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, as a neutral observing it all from afar, is extremely funny. But yeah, it's always good fun rattling people's cages from time to time. So yeah, kindred spirits, me and Birdbones Phil. But yeah, let's stick with the G1 here and move on to the G1 Climax Final, which took place the next day. Good attendance here. So this was 8,283. Packed into expensive, cramped 4-to box in Sumo Hall to see Tetsuya Naito defeat Kazuchika Okada 34 minutes, 18 seconds with a Destino. Ben says, football is back. If the G1 final participants were football teams, who would Naito be? Okada is obviously Manchester City. So I'm going to say Naito is Arsenal.
Ooh.
And this is going to be a portent for the season to come. Just as Naito wins the G1 Climax and England win the World Cup, Arsenal will win every competition they enter. We're going to win it all, just like Naito does. Troy says, is Okada Naito one of the best New Japan feuds ever? And would you extend it to one of the best wrestling feuds ever?
Yes.
I would say yes. I absolutely adore this match. And it wasn't a work ratey match. You know, the Ospreay Naito match the day before was more spectacular, had more moves and stuff in it. But I will always enjoy this match. And to me, it's a feud that kind of transcends the star ratings. It's just like every time they step in the ring together, it's like a new chapter of an ongoing beautiful story that just really resonates with what I love from professional wrestling. You know, there's nothing particularly spectacular or dangerous, or, you know, there's no massive high-flying spots or anything. It's just, for me, pro wrestling at its finest. A great story. They're just adding layers upon layers of it each time. The crowd just absolute red hot. You know, they were living or dying everything that Naito did, and him suffering that, I wouldn't call it a concussion, but being kicked in the face. Loopy. Okada leaned into that brilliantly. You know, they milked that for absolute maximum drama. They did that so well. And that added an extra layer of excitement and trepidation to this whole match, and callbacks to the matches they had last year, like I think it was a Polvo de Estrella flash pin that beat Okada in the New Japan Cup, I want to say, and they played off that, you know, the Stardust press where he missed again, and of course all us Naito fans losing our minds thinking, oh, he's fucked it up again. Callbacks to the Wrestle Kingdom 12 match, just it's callbacks galore. You know, if you're the kind of fan who pays attention to this stuff, you are richly and deeply rewarded for that. And they're just so good at pro wrestling. Every time one of the time calls is coming, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm like, no, it has not been 20 minutes. I don't believe you. That's a lie. Like, it didn't feel like 20 minutes. These guys fill up the time effortlessly. They have me and the crowd in the palm of their hands. It's an absolute joy. It reminds me why I love professional wrestling when I see Okada and Naito wrestling.
I think not only is it one of the best feuds, I feel like it's one of the most underrated within New Japan. Absolutely. I wonder if and again, you mentioned that callback spot. Like, I wonder if it's something where in the back it's discussed between just, you know, Okada and Naito, or is there somebody to remind them of these things to make sure you incorporate this? Or
so it's Red Shoes? You think Red Shoes is involved in that?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. And again, nobody's back there to let us know that. I mean, nobody's going to tell us that. But, you know, maybe, you know, just maybe, and I get my rocks off to the thought of this. But, you know, if they're just calling that shit in the ring, Like to have that memory of that, to be able to recall that against a myriad of different opponents. Like that's, to me, that is a pro fucking wrestler right there.
I mean, they're geniuses, aren't they? I mean, we know Naito is the Stardust genius, but you can absolutely tell him specifically, and also Okada, being guys who would just love to get into the weeds with all these little nerdy callbacks and plan them out move by move.
Yeah, I mean that is what we come for. You know what I mean? And I mean that figuratively and literally. That is what we come for. It's it's those little nuggets that you get, and sometimes, and that's what, again, kind of leads me to believe that it's more the wrestlers themselves that are able to do that, and are willing to do that, and have the ability to do that. That's, to me, it's mind-blowingly great, if that's the case. So one of those behind the curtain things that I'm always curious about is that, like, is it more guys in the back? Okay, here's the direction we want to go, boys. Make sure that the spot is in there, or is it the two guys working it out backstage, or is it two guys in the ring doing that on the fly? That, I mean, to me, that is a pro wrestler. And to have that ability, and if that's the case, man, I would just throw flowers at both of them, because that's awesome to me.
In Ring Art says, how does 2023 Naito compare physically to 2018 Tanahashi? The storylines are undeniably similar. Yeah, a few people have brought that up. I mean, this does feel like Naito's last run at the top. Like, I don't see this happening again. I mean, he's had his third G1 Climax win, and I think he goes on to win at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think this is your last chance to have the big money Naito title reign. And yeah, the parallels with Tanahashi, what I assume is going to be his last run, the sort of tail end of 2018 and early 2019, those are very apt, because a lot of parallels there.
Yeah, you could see it. You could see that. It's if Naito does pull it out and wins the title again at Wrestle Kingdom, I don't know. I mean, I would like to think that this is a decent run with it. I would hope, just to give the guy that. But I do have concerns if in fact they do give him the title, then okay, so let's make this substantial. I would really hope, but I mean,
I just think in terms of making money, like, of course, in storyline sense, it would make sense for, I don't know, Tsuji or Uemura or someone to get the title off of him straight away at New Beginning. But I just think they might want to make some money with this. If this is going to be Naito's last big title reign, then if they have him on top for a good chunk of that year with the belt, main eventing, defending that title against a host of people, they can make some money. Yeah. They like money. Money's good. They need it.
They sure do. Look, mobile apps. Obviously not what they once were. Look, I think, honestly, it's a no-brainer. Like, yeah. The problem is this, though. And again, New Japan Pro Wrestling does this. And so, there's only so many times I feel like you can go to the well. Ice cold Naito, right? For long stretches of time. And then they warm him up. And then they cool him off. And then they warm him up. And then they cool him off. And it's like, man, like to me, that's one guy that is prone to that so much in his career. I don't know if you could say the same thing about Okada or Tanahashi, or like, it just feels like the cool down period with Naito is dramatic, and then they want to build him back up. And it's like, I don't understand what it is with him that they do that with. look, to wrap it up, I can't imagine him not winning and them not at least giving him something substantial. But then I question has that time passed? Like, is that window closed already? Just by how they handle him. But I will say this too: if of anybody that I have confidence with that can overcome that and get back warmed up again, it's him, right? It's him. So fingers crossed. I hope it's a decent run. Hell, at this point, I'd be happy with him just winning the title. Right? I mean, let's cross that bridge first, and then we'll worry about the length of the reign.
Yeah, Mark says, how confident are you that Naito will be done right by at Wrestle Kingdom? There was a little nugget, I think Naito mentioned in an interview about, I think it was his grandfather who said he was upset that Naito didn't get to do the roll call. He was very upset by Kenta doing the run-in at the end to spoil the roll call, and I think he passed away after that, and then Kenta responded to that by saying, I'm happy I would do it again.
Really?
Proper heel work from Kenta. But yeah, there is, I think, that juice left for wanting to see Naito not only win the title again, but also get the successful roll call at the end of Wrestle Kingdom. So I think that's something a lot of fans are hanging their hat on. John says, did Naito winning make up for a mediocre G1? I mean, I wouldn't say the outcome made up for the G1 as a whole. I think it was backloaded. I've said that quite a few times. I think once we hit the stretch where we were getting the exclusive block final shows and then moving into the quarterfinals, the semis and the finals, I think it really picked up. There was a lot of drama there. I think the match quality increased exponentially. Prior to that, I feel that A Block was doing a lot of the heavy lifting in terms of excitement and what I was interested in personally, where it was sort of slim pickings in the other blocks, really. But was it a mediocre G1? I wouldn't say so. I mean, it wasn't one of the best ones. I think if we're just looking in terms of star ratings, it's fairly mid of the road. But I think the back end of it definitely made up for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an accurate statement, and I think that, I mean, not for nothing, you almost have to at this point, right? Like if we're still going with those guys who are, once again, head and shoulders above everybody else when it comes to star power. There are better shape, better, maybe even more physically gifted people at this point right now. There are no bigger stars, than those people that we mentioned before. None. You have to build that. That takes time. So to have him to expect him on night 6 to pull out a fucking banger like it was like 2019, I think that's asking a lot. I think, and truth be told, I would rather him conserve that energy to when the matches mean the most, and I feel like he did, absolutely.
I am Kamachi says, thoughts on people saying New Japan is being repetitive with Naito winning G1, or just New Japan being repetitive in general with the world title and G1 specifically. I mean, I think it was maybe a little bit jarring seeing this sort of focus on all the, the Musketeers and the young talent and all this, but then the final four was Okada, Naito, Evil and Ospreay, guys who we've seen in those big spots quite frequently over the last few years. But I think that's telling a story in and of itself, that those young guys are not ready yet. I think Chris Sampson was saying something like, this G1 is not about 2023. This is about like 2026.
Correct.
And, setting the table for all those future feuds and stuff. So yeah, those young guys are not ready. You can't plug, your Tsujis and Umanos and stuff into semi-finals and finals now, because they're not established stars yet. They're not proven commodities in terms of drawing a house. They might get there. I hope they will get there. I'm optimistic, but I think it's sensible to lean on your established stars for now, and that also makes sense in a storyline way to, as we have the journeys beginning for these young guys to hopefully, take up the reins in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is exactly right in that. This is about the future, and not only the future 2 years from now, but the future of January 4th. I don't think any of those guys that you had mentioned have the drawing capability yet to have the main event, the biggest show of the year. In time, it has to happen because they've put so many, their chips are in with those guys in the A block. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's the future. Those guys are the future. It has to work, but not right now. Like you just can't. You just can't because like that would be just incredible amounts of pressure. And when it doesn't work, then they get labeled a failure or a flop or a fraud, as our Discord likes to say. Fraud watch. And that's not fair. It's just not fair to them. And I don't think they have that in them right now. But 4 years from now, 3 years from now, yep, they better have it because we're fucked if they don't. That's for sure.
Multiverse A says, who do you think will be the next most popular star in Japan once Naito's run is over? Could it be Tsuji and he'll be the one to take the title from Naito in 2024? I mean, I think that makes the most sense in a storyline manner. And I mean, he looks like he's got all the tools, doesn't he? He's already got that crowd connection. If you were going to handpick one of these young guys to be the guy to get the crowd on side and have that kind of charisma and crowd connection, Tsuji looks like your man early on, doesn't he? Whereas I think Umino's come on leaps and bounds in this G1, and I think he's, for me, convinced me that he's going to be a future star. He seems like more of your sort of Tanahashi mold of ace, whereas Tsuji is your sort of counterculture, like a little bit rebellious streak. Tweener superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of variables that are out of control that are going to play a factor in that in anointing someone. I think to me, it's Shota that I feel like is the guy, right, in the future. But I think, like I said, I think there are a ton of variables that are going to dictate where they go, like how guys are booked and positioned and the matches that they have. It's all going to play a factor. Health, injuries, all of that are going to play a factor. And I think it's a little bit hard to say that's the guy, but like gun to the head, it's I think at this point it's between two guys, right? And it's the two guys that we mentioned.
Let's take some time to talk Okada then, who I thought had a tremendous performance in the final and really did a great job in building that drama and sympathy for Naito in a way that is not necessarily always visible. Like you can't always see Okada doing all that work, but it's there. It's absolutely there. And Scott says, I'm thrilled Naito won the G1. Okada has felt stale as Wrestle Kingdom foregone conclusion. Are you craving an Okada shake-up? Maybe he oust Finlay for Bullet Club leadership. Gabe Kidd is his second. Fused with the Reiwa Three Musketeers. Okada hates the youth. William says, which of the Three Musketeers will Okada face in the Dome? And Darius says, what is next for Okada? I mean, for Wrestle Kingdom, you can do anything with him. There's so many opponents you could line up for him. At the moment, I would say Danielson probably makes the most sense for him to get his win back at Wrestle Kingdom, but there's plenty of other directions you could go in. What do you think is next for Rainmaker?
I don't.
Of course, he's got to defend his never six-man openweight title.
Right.
Lest we forget.
Look, he's arguably in the conversation of best pro wrestler ever. Right, I think he's in that conversation. And you're right, he can do and work with anyone, and I think it would be a solid match. And if you're going to book dream matches, he's a guy that is definitely on your short list of a person you would want to put in that role. Look, he's always going to be in the mix. He's always going to be high up on the card. And I would have zero problem having him be a challenger for a big boy belt. Right? It just makes sense. I worry that, and I want to be very clear, this is not part of my pastrami sandwich, okay? This is not a piece of bread nor meat of any kind. What's left for him to do? What more is there to do? Where do we, and even a bigger question is, like, what does he want to do? Like, I see him as a guy who could possibly spend some time in the States. He's had a terrible time from a professional wrestling standpoint in the States with his time in TNA. I mean, that was just horrific. But like, does he have that itch to go to the States like his buddy did? That's what I worry about, because him being bored and him being, I've done everything I can, what else is there, is a huge concern of mine. And to have an opportunity with a company like AEW, where it wasn't there 5 years ago, might be appealing to him, and that would be concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I can see your concerns because he is friends with the Young Bucks, isn't he? But
Sure is.
I think I think he's a company man. I think he's going to be. I don't think he will be leaving, and I think there's plenty of him to do just with that new generation we talked about. I think Yuya Uemura will be the guy who he's positioned against, and that will be his next task. I think helping to get Yuya and all the other young guys established as stars within the next 5 years.
Okay, you're him.
That's a big ask.
Okay, right, you're him. You happy with that?
I would be, yeah, because I mean, I think that is going to come with plenty of, main events and title reigns and stuff. I don't think, just because he's won it all, that doesn't mean he's not going to continue to win accolades as the time goes on. I mean, that's the best way to do it, isn't it? If I'm, planning a long-term story where, let's say, Yuya is finally going to overcome Okada, the time and place to do that is at Wrestle Kingdom with Okada as IWGP champion. So I think he's a guy who, you will be looking at to help get these guys into Top Gear over the next few years. And yeah, I would do that if I were
okay.
him, sure.
I mean, I'm just going to play devil's advocate. You have a choice. 2 years, 3 years, I'm going to go to the States and I'm going to make some bank. I'm going to cash in. And I would think that Tony, being the New Japan Pro Wrestling super fan that he is, would take that in a heartbeat and would push him to the moon. I don't think he's going to be a mid-carder. So for 2 or 3 years, he's there with the opportunity to perform in front of 70,000 people, right? As opposed to, at best, half of that on New Japan's best day. I would think, okay, I could put over the youngsters, or I could leave that for somebody else to do. And I can go make some money and come back. And when these guys are established, then I could swoop in and do all that. Because I'm in the sunset of my career. And I got the money in my back pocket to show for it. And now I'll put over these guys.
Making a lot of generalizations here, but I think I am about to make some generalizations here, and I would say I think the sort of Japanese workplace culture of loyalty to your employers, I'm guessing it, and again that doesn't apply to everyone, but I would say he would feel a sense of responsibility to help establish the next generation rather than chasing the biggest paycheck.
Okay, I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. Again, we're just talking out loud here. We are just throwing shit against the wall, right? Nothing let it be known, is a part of the pastrami sandwich.
Yeah, I mean, look, we could be.
Who do you think the
breaking
pastrami
down
sandwich is
move
about, by the way? You know, make up a name. We got to deflect.
It's about. Damn, bleep it out.
Definitely, it's beep. Sad to see beep.
Right,
No.
Aretha says, Damon, as a music fan, I'm sure you're familiar with the phrase Imperial Phase.
Mm-hmm.
How many of the G1 semi-finalists are in their wrestling Imperial Phase? What does that mean?
Okay, so it's my understanding that it is when a band or an artist is not only selling a lot, like their albums are selling and downloaded and all that, but from a creative perspective, like it's like their best work, right? So it's like they hit both levels at the same time, like they peak. Like it would be like the equivalent of I don't know. I'll give you a Beatles, and people can argue it to the sun, but like the White Album being like their pinnacle of commercial and creative success. Let's see here. I think Will even has more to give and more to go. So I even think there's another level he can obtain. Okada, I think we're past that. I think his peak was, the Tanahashi and Omega stuff. All right. Who else was in the semifinals? I'm having a brain fart. Evil.
Evil.
To me, Evil has so much more to give. I would hate to see him just where he's at right now. Like I would hate that. I do think that there's more there, but maybe there's not, and maybe you're right from the very jump where House of Torture is a sweet spot. And then who else?
Well, you did Okada.
I did Okada.
Ospreay, Evil. Did you do Naito?
No, I didn't do Naito. I think, and I think that this is if this run comes to pass, I think this is we're on the downward trend. Has to be downward trend from a pro wrestling in ring perspective. Is he still as popular as he once was? I think he's very popular. I don't think he's as popular as he was going into the Dome. I think one of the biggest mistakes they made was not having him win that title at that Dome show. I think, like, if I'm looking back, and again, hindsight is 2020. I think one of the biggest fumbled the ball moments was him not winning that title then and there when he was at his absolute red hottest. I know the argument can be made that, hey, if that happened, you wouldn't have had these matches or this feud or this wouldn't have happened. Maybe, but maybe other things that positive wise didn't have the opportunity to happen because Naito didn't win the title.
Yeah, I mean, there's a conversation to be had there, especially taking COVID into account and seeing where Kenny Omega ended up, whether if you with the benefit of hindsight, you could have switched things around a bit. But let's move on anyway. Jeff Cobb has challenged Naito. I don't know if they're doing the briefcase stuff anymore. I don't think even Naito is aware, but it looks like we're going to get Jeff Cobb versus Tetsuya Naito at some point. Darius says, do you see the Wrestle Kingdom 18 main event still being Naito versus Sanada, or do you think they'll make a title switch beforehand? Thoughts on Naito versus Cobb, and do you still think it's Naito Sanada at Wrestle Kingdom?
It's got to be Naito, like, headlining. I can't imagine it being anything different. I can't imagine Naito losing. I can't imagine them doing it to Naito fans. If I was a passionate Naito guy, boy, that would just send me over the fucking top, I think. I can't see it. I can't see it not being him.
All right, I'll just go through some of the other stuff that came about after the finals, the semi-finals and the finals show, because we're setting the table for the Destruction Tour for the rest of the year. As we predicted, Bolton Oleg did win the Yakiniku Beef Gauntlet. So he beat all three of the other young lions. Didn't see it, wasn't televised for us abroad, but that not only earns him a lot of delicious grilled beef, but a title challenge against Zack Sabre Jr. for the NJPW World TV Championships,
That's fun.
Which is exciting.
Yeah, that should be fun. That should be really fun, actually. Good for him. He's got all the meat he can eat, and a title shot.
And clearly being positioned above the other young lions because they all failed at this challenge and Oleg won.
I mean, just something as simple as that, right? Just something as simple as that sets him apart. So, yeah, that should be fun. That should be good. And I wish they would televise it. I don't know if it's like a marketing or a rates. I don't know why. I don't know why they wouldn't. Why? Do we know why? Have we been told why?
I think the Japanese viewers got to see it, but
why not us?
Yeah, maybe it's some sort of TV station politics bullshit that's always sees us getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, it sucks, but I would have liked to have seen that. Get the big bowl of beef. By the way, are you a fan of those? Delicious.
Well, yakiniku, love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh my god,
it's the best.
Now I want some. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Kaito Kiyomiya truthers, the copium was being huffed as he was eliminated with an appalling record from the G1, that there was going to be some sort of big angle at the finals. He was going to attack Okada. What happened was he had a competitive encounter with Hiroshi Tenzan and will now be taking Ryohei Oiwa with him, who is now going to Noah for an excursion. So, Kaito being stuck doing these opening matches with Tenzan and Young Lions, and now Oiwa off to Noah for his excursion, which is an interesting one.
Yeah. Look, I mean, it's not like we didn't fucking tell you. I'm sorry, people are disappointed, but if you thought that anything of any kind was going to occur at the G1 Finals, sorry, you got your hopes up over something that had a slim and none chance of happening. Now, would I have liked it? Absolutely. I think it would have been great. Again, my idea was to have him in the finals and have that idea of Noah quite possibly winning the biggest tournament in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, that would be incredibly sexy to me. And I think, once again, that would be high tide raising ships. Yep, I absolutely would. But the fact that history has shown that, boy, New Japan treats their partnerships when they're in control of their partnerships, boy, they treat people like fucking shit. Maybe they take it out. Maybe they're like New Japan's parents treat him terribly, so then he goes to school and treats the other kids. Yeah,
it is Tony Khan. It's the trickle down violence effect. This is what happens with bullying.
Yes, this is exactly what happens. See. Oh, we're in shambles, dude.
No, man, I was going to say, we are the only podcast that told people the truth and on the level about Kaito and what was going to happen with him. Everyone else out here fantasy booking, he's going to get to the finals, he's going to do this, he's going to get his win back over Okada. No, we were the only people who said, wake up, smell the coffee. That's not how New Japan play. Yeah. It's not happening. And we were right.
Again.
The amount of wins I've stacked up over this G1 is obscene. It is. So many things that I've said have come to pass, and hopefully people start paying attention.
I think people pay attention. I think people have to pay attention. We are movers and
buy me drinks and give us more money on Red Circle.
Right. I need to pay for shit. All right, go ahead, please. I'm sorry. Enough of our stroke.
All right, what else we got? What's his name?
I don't know.
I've forgotten this guy's first name.
Pete.
Fuck me. Fujita. What's his first name?
I don't know. Fucking.
So you've forgotten as well?
I don't know. Is it? It's.
Kosei Fujita is officially no longer.
See, I would have never gotten that because I just don't. I'm just a dummy. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
my brain doesn't work the way it used to.
Oh.
Since becoming a parent, I'm just constantly blanking on stuff. I'll walk into rooms and completely forget why I entered the room in the first place.
Oh my God.
It's quite frightening. Yeah, I blame parenthood. You have no excuse.
Hopefully I do. We'll find out this week.
You will. You might do so. But yeah, okay. So Kosei Fujita, officially no longer a young lion. He's going on a world tour excursion. He's going to be going to the States and Australia and the UK. And Aiko Rule says, as they prepare to go on excursion, who's got more upside, Fujita or Oiwa? I think they're both very, very talented. But for me, Fujita is next level. He's wrestling like a 15-year veteran. He looks incredible already. So I think he has the most upside. However, Oiwa has got the more of that sort of hunky, traditional, conventionally attractive good look. So, I could see them being sort of positioned against each other, sort of generational rivals. But in terms of right now, who is the better guy, I would say Fujita. I think he's terrific.
I do too. I just don't, once again, I think there's so many other variables that play into that. But yeah, I mean, I see. Here's the problem. If I answer that question, I'm flipping a coin, right? Because I think both of them have tremendous upside. But I'd be flipping a coin at this point. To me, once again, I kind of just look for connection and connection with the crowd and all of that, because I think they're I feel like they're on par with each other when it comes to in ring. So I would just be flipping a coin, and I don't think that does that any justice.
Yeah, absolutely fair. So I'm not going to stop to discuss each of these in detail, just some of the stuff that's been set up. We had Henare attacking Eddie Kingston, so it looks like he's challenging for the Strong title. I suspect that's going to happen at the Fighting Spirit Unleashed show in Vegas on October 28th. We also have Great Okan and Shingo. They had a little program set up based on stuff backstage. We have the War Dogs, so Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin look like they're going to be facing Hikuleo and El Fantasma, which is a team that I speculated I would like to see, and we are seeing it, so that's pretty cool. It looks like Hikuleo and ELP are going to be challenging for the Strong Open Weight Tag titles. It looks like we're seeing Tamatonga versus David Finlay again for the Never title. Mark says, how long before you could realistically see Gabe Kidd as leader of Bullet Club?
Well, I'll tell you what. Not that it's going to happen, but if G1 is any indicator of who I would prefer, I mean, boy, I feel like Gabe Kidd is a good pick. But even with that said, like, I feel like David Finlay is more of, he comes across, at least to me, as more of a leader type, if that makes any sense. Like, to me, like, he fits that role much better than Gabe Kidd. I feel like Gabe, and that's not saying that like Gabe Kidd couldn't, but in his current incarnation, he feels like, he's a wild card guy, and not necessarily a guy who's going to lead a faction. Could that possibly happen? Yeah, I think I look. I don't know if he's being groomed for that, but I think in time, if you wanted to go in that direction, you absolutely could. I just don't see it right now. Like, I feel like David Finlay's a better fit to be the leader of Bullet Club.
Yeah, I also think it's a case of if they do go in that direction and David Finlay is ousted as Bullet Club leader, where does he go from there? So I could see it as one of these things. Maybe if his contract is expiring and he's not going to renew with the company, he's going to go and work elsewhere, then would be the time to pull the trigger on the Gabe takeover. But yeah, I think I would love to see it. Hope it does happen. Gabe's got all the tools. What else have we got? So TMDK look like they're going to be challenging Bishamon for the IWGP Heavyweight Tag titles. Shane Haste's hair is slicked back, and he's going to show them just how big a piece of shit he can be. William says, you think New Japan should have the tag tournaments separated like before the pandemic? Because I'm quite excited. I'm looking forward to World Tag League because we're setting the table with some, I think, really some interesting new teams and some of the more established teams. I think that's going to be cooking later in this year. Do you think they should keep Super Junior Tag League and World Tag League separate like they did before, or together as they did last?
I like together. I do like it together because again, everything matters at that point. I definitely like that much more. I think the bigger question is are we taking off that month?
Yeah, that's our tradition.
Yes. So yeah, we'll have to keep that in the back of our heads. Good.
And Adam says, I can't help but think that the Three Musketeers have already been forgotten post G1. Apart from Tsuji, neither Ren or Shota have even been given a hint of a story for this Destruction tour. What do you think those two in particular should be doing on the road to Wrestle Kingdom? Well, Adam, I don't think has been paying attention to this final show because I think they've clearly set up a program between Shota and Ren for Destruction. They were going at it. Nagata and Suzuki were facing off, so it looks like they're going to have a match. Wato and Desperado have been locking horns, so that could be 3 singles matches, and it could also be a trios match as well. So that is the direction going forward. Bray says, I know this will get flack because it's another faction. Thoughts on Umino, Wato, Nagata as a group of their own? No, that's not going to happen. I mean, they're the Hontai. I mean, Hontai is its own thing, and that's where it's going to stay, I think. And Aiko Rule says, what can this company do to salvage Narita's return to the main roster? He had an exciting debut / first month and now seems dead on arrival. I think the Kaito match at the end of the G1 sparked him into life. I thought there was a really good showing from Ren. I don't think his G1 was as disastrous as other people have said. And I think, I mean, having him feud with Umino through Destruction is an interesting choice. That we're going, straight to Musketeer or Musketeer violence. That's an interesting.
Yeah, one. I think a lot of people were disappointed though. In Ren's G1. I think it's fair. Because he's in a block where he's able to work with guys that, quite honestly, are in the same kind of boat as him. Like he's not going to be that guy who, he's in like C block where he's fucking losing every night, and that could be somewhat depressing. Trust me, I truly think that there's more in the tank. But to me, I don't know. I feel like there's more to him than the guy in black tights. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's more to him that's just not being showcased right now. And again,
he's a bit of a manga or anime nerd. I know he's been talking about the Kinnikuman stuff. He should lean into that. Just jazz it up a bit. Don't be the Shibata clone anymore. He can do better than that. And I agree with you. I think he's got to sort of discover himself a bit more.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and maybe in time that'll happen. But yeah, to be black tights guy, I don't think does him any favors. He can still kick as hard as he fucking wants. Just let's bring something else out of him that's a little bit different than that. And that's your comment. It's a comment that I've heard a ton. The Shibata stuff. It's glaringly obvious. And I think he can do better than that.
We also have a show against Taichi KOPW program looking likely, which could be really good because they could wrestle each other really well and hit each other really hard. And I also think they're both underrated comedic talents that could be very fun as well. So I don't know what direction they're going, but I'm low-key excited about Sho and Taichi. We've also got a strong women's title match lined up with Julia defending against Momokogo, Deonna Purrazzo, and Giselle Shaw, which I think, let me check if that is up on this Impact show. No, it isn't. I don't know when that match is. I've not done my homework. But yeah, so those are some of the programs we've got going into Destruction. Now it is time to preview the 2 weekend shows. The All-Star Junior Festival USA, which will be taking place on Saturday at the 2300 Arena. And then the very next night, we have the Multiverse United 2, For Whom the Bell Tolls, Impact and New Japan crossover shows. First of all, Damon, are you going to either of these?
Yes, I'm going to the Saturday show, the junior show, which, again, seems like a hodgepodge of. It seems like a strong show with a couple guys they brought over in weird matches. So I'll be there for that. And then I don't know. Sunday's still on the table. I don't know if I'm going to that show, but yeah, I am planning on Saturday.
All right, so let's have a look at these cards. And I don't have a match order for the All-Star Junior Festival USA.
I don't think they do either.
Just tip through what they've got on the website. Kickoff match, we've got Goldie versus Vinny Pacifico. I've got no idea who either of those guys are. We do have, and I think this is sort of the centerpiece of this event, the All-Star Junior Festival tournament.
Yeah.
So we have on one side of the brackets, Francesco Akira versus Mike Bailey.
That should be good.
Other side of the brackets, yeah, it should be. Yeah, other side of the brackets, Kevin Knight versus Clark Connors. So, and the final will be on the same night. So, there's plenty of directions this could go. I think, given the direction of Destruction and seeing the United Empire against LIJ matchups, I'm kind of leaning towards Francesco Akira winning this because now he's no longer a tag champion. I think he deserves a bit of single shine, and if he wins this tournament, then he could challenge Hiromu during Destruction or one of these other shows. I think Akira versus Hiromu would be a really great match. And I also, if I had to pick a final, I think Akira versus Clark Connors in the final, just to, Akira can have some revenge over Clark over the way they were beaten last time for the tag title. So yeah, I would pick Akira and Clark to go through to the final. But I mean, I could see plenty of upside in the other outcomes. I mean, Kevin Knight, he could be a really exciting finalist. I mean, any of these guys, all four of these guys, I think are really good. But I think if I had to pick, I would say Akira as our winner of the tournament.
Yeah, that would be nice. I hate the idea of it though, and it's kind of, we all bought into it. We kind of knew that this was going to be the case, but I kind of don't like the idea of guys working twice in a night, and because I think it's obvious and rightfully so that they're going to hold back until their finals for what it's worth. So hopefully everything works out there. Yeah, I would like to see that. It seems weird that more people aren't in this tournament, but okay, fine. We're going to have 4 people in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the card is ranging from weird to dog shit. Let's go through it. I'm not going to go match by match. I'll just read out what we've got on the card and we can talk about it. So we've got a tag match with Mao and El Desperado versus Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne. That should be all right. Matt Sydal and
Matt Sydal
against Matt Sydal and Yo against Bushi and Shun Skywalker. That'd be a lot of fun, I think. I mean, Shun Skywalker and Yo going at it together, that could be good.
Wait. I mean, this is first. This is the first Matt Sydal New Japan appearance, correct? Right? I can't recall if he's been on any other US-based shows.
You could be right there.
After his drug bust.
I don't recall him appearing on Strong or anything. No, I think you're right.
Huh. Well, listen, marijuana's legal now in so I think it's okay.
No, Rocky loves booking criminals.
He really does. He loves booking people with sketchy pasts. Okay. All right. But all right. Look, you know what? I'm all right. Matt Sydal I can handle. Good. All right. Let's go.
All right. We've got Pat's King of Steaks Philly Cheesesteak Cup 3-way tag ladder match. So here are the teams: Hiromu and Rocky.
Makes no sense.
Watto and Blake Christian. And Doki and Lowrider.
Who? I don't know who Lowrider
is. Doki
is.
and Lowrider.
I'm not familiar with Lowrider.
I don't have to find out.
Yeah, I mean, again, Rocky and Hiromu. I don't know why they would be tagging, but okay, great. Rocky's got to put himself in a marquee match. I hate the name of it. I just hate the it's just so low common denominator Philly thing. It's just okay. We get it.
Pat's the king of steaks?
So here's what Pat's is. So in South Philadelphia, on the corner on Passyunk Avenue, there are 2 cheesesteak places. Right? It's Gino's and it's Pat's. They are both good for after the bars close, go there to get your fucking grub on, right? Like at 2 a.m, It's fucking delicious, right? 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's probably not the best choice for a cheesesteak, to be brutally honest. But it's there. It's kind of like a staple, and it's kind of like I don't want to say go so far as to say tourist trap, because I don't think, I mean, it's definitely a touristy place. Like if you go to Philadelphia, a lot of times that's where you're going. More for the fact that it's kind of iconic. The best, no. I just hate the idea of, okay, great, we get it. We were pretty famous for our cheesesteaks. We get it. Is it officially a Pat's is involved in it though? Like Pat's is the sponsor?
Yes.
Huh.
Yes. It
Okay. Well, maybe they'll have cheesesteaks there. That'd be nice. Like if Pat's was smart, they would have fucking cheesesteaks there to buy.
Is it going to be like a cheesesteak hanging from the top of the arena?
I hope so.
That they've got?
Because guess what? I'm hopping on that fucking ladder. I'll punch Rocky right in the fucking face for that cheesesteak. Damn right.
You would deserve it.
All right.
Right. So there's that. We've got a lucky dip tag match with tag team partners to be decided by random drawing in the ring. So Kosei Fujita, Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Alex Shelley, Robbie Eagles, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, TJP, and Cheeseburger.
What?
Yes.
Cheeseburger?
Yep.
I mean, Cheeseburger. I have fond memories of Cheeseburger. He's a good guy. We're carting out Cheeseburger, huh?
I mean, we've got workers like, Fujita is great. Kanemaru, fantastic. Yeah. Alex Shelley, really good. Robbie Eagles, brilliant. Yes. I like Ace Austin. I thought it was really good. TJP, brilliant. Chris Bay, he's all right. Is that the best we could do?
Right. Like, and why? Like, what's the point? Like, it's like Rocky's phone had to be off the, like, just a million texts from, hey, could you put me on the show? And he's a guy who apparently can't say no because fucking Cheeseburger's on it. Wow.
It's going to get worse.
It's
going to get worse.
Oh. Hey, can you do me a favor, though?
I'm saving it.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you hit up Robbie Eagles? Just let him know, obviously I'm in the area. If he wants to grab a cold one or maybe a cheesesteak or two, I'd be more than happy to show him the town.
Brilliant. Yeah, I will reach out to him. Remind me after we stop recording.
Okay.
I'll shoot him a message. And we have a 5-way match with Fugaz, Leo Rush, Dragon Kid, Soberano Jr., and KC Navarro, which, again, an absolute mess, but could be fun. I mean, there's some talented names there. Yeah. Love Leo Rush, love Soberano Jr., so...
I think that'd be crazy good.
Would have loved something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay, and this is the last match. Again, this is no particular order, but we have a 6-man tag match. On one side, we have the DKC, Ryusuke Taguchi, and Rich Swann. Okay. On the other side, Starboy Charlie, Jack Cartwheel, and the artist formerly known as Enzo Amore, Real One.
Nah, stop fucking me. That can't be right. Really?
No. Absolutely correct. I'm not shitting you. Thoughts?
What? Why? What the fuck is happening? Why?
And Enzo says, I'll end up at Tokyo Dome if I get the chance to, quote, do what we do in NJPW debut. Now, but this is a guy who managed to politic his way into a 15-minute draw with Juice Robinson. There's no way his team are losing this match, right? His team are winning this match. I don't know what to say to him. I mean, right, sketchy past, right? We talked about these people with dodgy backgrounds. Enzo Amore was released by WWE after he was accused of rape. He was not charged in the case. The Phoenix police decided not to pursue charges against Enzo Amore. And again, I'm not putting a judgment on that, whether he is innocent, guilty, blah, 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 whatever. We know how sketchy those things can be. Yep. What the fuck are we doing? Why are we booking an accused rapist? Why? What is this? Why?
Who
wanted this? Who is this for?
Right. Who is this for? Who is this for? Like, even taking those allegations off the table, like even if we took those off the table, why does anybody give a what? Like, now add that on top of it, and it's like, what did you?
He's not even a good. This is a guy who managed to concuss himself. He knocked himself unconscious running the ropes, if I'm not mistaken. He's this incompetent wrestler. So it's not as if this is like some mega draw who's going to give you 5-star classics and just, someone needed to give him a clean slate. He stinks.
He's hopping a rail, or at Madison Square Garden. Joel,
enjoy the show, Damon.
Like, who's in? I am blown away by the fact that I have to sit there for that, which I won't be.
Are you really shocked?
Yes.
Like, this is the same company / person who tried to sneak Marty Scurll back in under the radar and tried to quietly get away with continue to book Chris Dickinson until people started making a fuss. Are we really surprised here?
Yes, I truly am, because it's not like you're bringing a guy in who people have interest in. Do people have interest in him? Either the New Japan Pro Wrestling fan base has been completely diluted and it's a lost cause, which I don't believe to be the case. I just don't understand why. And the idea of him showing up at the let me be very clear. And I'm saying this with full of emotion. So, but I am planting the flag. I'm going to die on this hill. If what is he, RS? What is he called now? Help me.
Real One.
God. If Real One steps foot in the Tokyo Dome, other than watching a fucking baseball game, I am done with New Japan Pro Wrestling. How's that grab you? I'm done. The podcast is over.
I'll join you for
that. We pack it up and toodaloo. I'm done with New Japan. Because here's the thing. As a fan of this product, I can put up with terrible booking decisions. I can put up with missteps and bumbles and all of that stuff. And why aren't they doing this? And why can't they get their heads out of their fucking asses? This is different. The whole show is preposterous. Is there good shit in there? Probably. There's guys that can work their asses off and they'll do their best to put on a good show. I'm blown away. Here's what it is. Unfortunately, I don't drink anymore. But maybe I just saddle up to the bar and start during that match. Maybe I get back on the wagon. What do you say? I hop on and just sit there for that match, because I'm not watching that fucking shit. It's garbage, and I'm so disappointed in New Japan. I'm incredibly disappointed again. That this is even on the table. I'm fucking over it, man. It's so disappointing, man. Like, why?
It's so sleazy, isn't it? It feels really sleazy.
It doesn't. It's just. Why?
It's like the kind of shit you'd expect to see on one of those control your narrative bullshit shows that popped up.
Yeah, it's just.
It's just unworthy of New Japan and Enzo stepping foot on the blue mat, the blue ring. New Japan.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. It's preposterous to me. Like, truth be told, to me, this is not a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. Like, this is a show where New Japan Pro Wrestlers are on it. Like, to sit there and call this a New Japan Pro Wrestling show, quite honestly, is embarrassing. That's not to say that there won't be good stuff on it. There will be. But to call this a New Japan Pro Wrestling show is embarrassing. And the idea that we're going to experiment with this is at least disappointing. And at the top of the scale, it's enough for me to just walk away from this fucking thing. It really is. That's where I'm at with this. I'm going to go to this show and I'm going to have a good time. But trust me, that match is either bathroom break. And here's the thing too. We already bought our tickets, right? Once again, we already bought our tickets. And I think if people I don't think that there's any mistake in the fact that he was put on this show. I mean, maybe it was a month. Who knows? I don't even know. Like when did you hear that he was on the show?
I think it was kind of snuck in there during the sort of around the semi-final finals time of G1 where they thought people would notice.
Pretty weird how that happens, right? How right, you're right, just kind of slides in there. Because I think if people knew beforehand, I don't think a lot of people would be happy with that decision, right? So I'm going to urge everyone in attendance that has any type of concerns to feel free. Meet me at the bar during that match. Because here's the thing. At the end of the...
mass walkout. Mass walkout.
Yeah. Maybe that's the time for your smoke break. Maybe that's the time to look at merch. Maybe that's the time to take a piss or a nice healthy shit. Because in the ring, that's what you're getting. And you can't take back your ticket. You've already bought it. But let your actions speak louder for once. You have control. You can sit there and watch the match, or you can get up and or boo or whatever. You paid your money. Don't exactly. Exactly. It's not worth it. It's counterproductive.
Just walk out.
Yep.
As soon as he's making his entrance,
walk out.
His name popped up on the screen.
Take a break. There's that's the time, and I urge everyone to do that. Now,
can I also throw something else? www.njpw972.com/contact/inquiry/ So let them know.
Yeah.
Let the company know what you think about this.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea, actually.
Obari's in a listening mood.
Yeah.
He's got his ears open.
Yep. Do you think he even knows?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't even think he knows. Boy, that would be nice. You know what? That would be really refreshing if people stood up for what they feel is right. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I that would be really nice to let your voice be heard by not saying a word and let your feet do the talking.
Dear. Jim says, confirm that Enzo Amore single-handedly tanked the Bushiroad stock price. Yes.
Look.
Indeed.
I don't even think they know he's on the show, to be honest with you.
No. All right. So Sunday, we've got Multiverse United 2. Kickoff match, we've got Joe Hendry, Heath, and Yuya Uemura against Master Wato, Rocky Romero, and Ryusuke Taguchi. We have the Impact Digital Media Championship, Kenny King defending against Yoshinobu Kanemaru. We have a Bullet Club versus the World match with David Finlay, Kenta, Clark Connors, Alex Coughlin, Chris Bay, and Ace Austin against Josh Alexander, PCO, Tamatonga, Tangaloa, El Phantasmo, and the DKC. We have an X Division Junior Heavyweight Scramble with Frankie Kazarian, Bushi, Kevin Knight, Chris Sabin, El Desperado, Mao, and Rich Swann. We have a singles match between Doki and Callahan. We have a TMDK versus Impact match with Zack Sabre Jr. and Shane Haste against Moose and Eddie Edwards. A special tag match with Trey Miguel and Leo Rush against Hiromu and Mike Bailey. And the Impact World Championship match, champion Alex Shelley defending against Hiroshi Tanahashi. That is a way better
Yeah.
show, way better card than the All-Star Junior Festival.
Yeah, I would. I'm in full agreement. I'd like to swap my tickets, please. Is that possible? Yeah, that's a better. That to me, that's a better show. That's a more enjoyable show. Yeah, boy, that really rocked my world, dude. I don't know. Okay, all right, let's move on. What are you gonna do?
That's it.
We're done.
We've gone some places in this episode.
Yeah, yeah. You're doing Wembley. I'm doing 2300. Well, it's on the line, right? The future of this show is on the fucking line.
Yeah.
A bar. I can't wait to sign that fucking paper. They're bringing him in first class. You kidding me? Oh, boy, what a disappointment. Hey, here's the thing. I'm not here to say that. Look, this is not for me, and I'm going to do what I think is right, and I urge everyone to do the same. That's it. That's all.
Yeah, we've got a responsibility to speak out when we think something is not right, and this is not right.
It, not only is it not right, it just makes it like I don't know what we gain from this. Like where's the positive in this? It just feels really fucking sketch. All right, whatever. You know what? I'm going to do what I got to do.
Let's wash the taste away. Louis says, one question, non-G1 Finals related. Joel, now you're back in the UK. What are some of the foods you're looking forward to eating again? And what crisps are you looking forward to
Beans on toast.
to want to snack again on? I'm enjoying beans on toast. I'm enjoying the Co-op fancy salt and vinegar crisps. I think it's like sea salt and Chardonnay wine vinegar, some sort of nonsense like that. They're really good. What else am I enjoying? Pot noodles. Love a pot noodle. Chicken and mushroom pot noodle. I even tried the doner kebab pot noodle. That's how dirty I am. Doner kebabs, of course. I like toasted saurine malt loaf with a bit of butter. That's nice. Crumpets. I've missed crumpets. English breakfast cereals, crunchy nut cornflakes. Jam donuts.
How about the beef?
Supermarket jam donuts.
So
beef. Oh, I had a great roast dinner on Sunday. Sunday roast at the Dartmouth Inn.
Beautiful.
Had roast pork. Lovely bit of crackling there. Big Yorkshire pudding. It was a thing of beauty, David.
When am I coming? When are we showing up?
Mate, you see my new house.
Beautiful.
There's a spare bedroom there with your name on it.
I'll tell you what, I would love it. It looks gorgeous. It looks absolutely stunning. And here's the thing: it looks relaxing and peaceful and just quintessential English countryside. I'm in. You know what? I'm getting on the fucking plane right now.
Let's do it. Let's combine it with Royal Quest.
Yep. Well, I'm
it's
not
only, what, 3 hours? 3 hours from London by train? Less than that.
Okay.
But,
all right. Yeah. I mean, I gotta find a way to make this happen relatively soon. Because look, everything that you just described, my mouth is watering. Sounds delicious.
All right. Well, let's end that podcast on a positive there. So redcircle.com/shows/super-j-cast. We always appreciate your monetary contributions there. So if you like what we do and enjoy the show, please think about sending us a bit of money because it's very much appreciated. Discord link you can get if you send me a direct message on Twitter at Cobra Kawaii and prowrestlingtees.com/superjcast for our t-shirts. Big thank you to editor Dan. Find him on Twitter at LousyHero219. Subscribe to the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network for other great shows. Give us a 5-snake review on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at SuperJcast. Thank you everyone for listening and goodbye.
Hola, my name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. We are a Spanish-speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AEW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. If something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your Lucha Libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network. Nos vemos por ahí.
Hi, my name is Tyler Fornes, and I am the co-host of The Good, the Bad, and the Hunky here on the Voice Wrestling Podcasting Network. Every week, my co-host Fred Moreland and I discuss all the happenings of All Elite Wrestling and everything going on in the universe of Tony Khan. We talk about Dynamite, we talk about Rampage, and we will talk about Collision when the time comes as well, along with all the appearances outside of AEW from all the best talents in All Elite Wrestling. This is one of the more cohesive wrestling companies in the entire world, and we discuss every intricacy about it, including the unique booking of Tony Khan that is both a huge positive and a major detriment. Check us out every single Thursday here on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.